they meet again. It's Kingston versus St. James. Montego Bay United, the hunted, invade the jungle. The hunters, Arnott Gardens, are ready to pounce. The junglists look to settle the score after Mobay took round 1. Monday match night is Appointment TV. The date, Monday, January 13. The time, 7:45 p.m. The venue, Anthony Spaulding Sports Complex. CVM TV is the place to be. Monday match night, powered by Sunshine Snacks and ABC Electrical.
Our days get a little complex sometimes. Often so many things make sense, yet so many do not. We are being intentional about giving prominence to the big stories in order to clarify and enlighten. Lead Story explains who, what, when, where, why, and how. Lead Story with George Davis, weekdays at 6:30 p.m. on CVM TV.
You can open a Sagicor Bank savings account from anywhere. Go online and open yours today.
The time by Sagicor Bank is
7 o'clock. Tonight in CVM News at 7. 3 children perish in early morning St. Anne fire. Prime Minister condemns limited parental supervision in homes. Holiday traffic changes still in effect for Kingston. In Inspire Jamaica, grieving out loud the weight of miscarriage. And in sports, South Africa team arrives for 3-match series against Sunshine Girls.
From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7, the weekend edition. It's Sunday, January 12, 2025. I'm Carolyn Brown. Thanks so much for joining us. Well, it's been a bleak Sunday for one St. Anne community where fire claimed the lives of 3 children in an early morning blaze. Ahead of details on the tragedy which has left residents in shock, we caution some of the information may be unsettling, and so viewer discretion is advised. Our reporter is Ramon Gordon.
It's a fiery start to the year, with yet another fire claiming the lives of innocent victims, this time in Walkerswood, St. Anne. Reports are that the fire began early Sunday morning, but there was no one to help. It was Travis, a passerby unknown to the area, who fled his vehicle and braved the flames to render assistance. Upon his arrival, he saw a woman, the children's grandmother, crying on the ground outside.
When I come up, the kids them in the house and cry. Get me in the fire, blaze on them. I run on and see a little boy run back and grab him up and thing. And if you try, so we're going to move, at least try, get them out. Gas pan bust in the house and then you stop just caving and it's all screaming stop.
At this point, Travis knew the other children had perished in the fire, and though he wished for a miracle where they somehow made it out alive, his fears became a reality when the Jamaica Fire Brigade arrived. Head of Area 2, Assistant Commissioner Julian Davis Buckley, says her team received a call from the police sometime after 2 a.m.
The crew started operation and to extinguish the fire, after which the cooling down operation started. And it was at that point where the remains of 3 children were found in one of the rooms.
A view that has traumatized many, including Travis, who managed to save only one of the 4 children.
Seen
3 children burned.
Yeah, because I have all a daughter too. They screaming, you know. And still hear kids them in there scream out, cry out, and couldn't do nothing more and just watch them burn.
The incident has sparked a discussion around practicing safety drills at home. Assistant Commissioner Davis Buckley is urging parents to teach their children how to protect themselves in the event of a fire.
Starting of January, we are already having 1 child last week and this time 3 children, it is a big blow. And it just puts us in perspective as to what needs to be done to protect our homes. We, from time to time, focus on fire drills for businesses and big establishments. But maybe we need to start practice fire drills in our homes.
The cause of this blaze is unknown. Ramon Gordon for CVM News.
The Member of Parliament for North East St. Anne, Senator Matthew Samuda, who describes the event as a tragic situation for the community, says the government has already initiated its support strategy for the residents. The Education Minister, Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon, in the meantime, says on Monday, representatives will be visiting the schools the children attended to offer counselling and additional support.
Truly heartbreaking situation, because we're obviously awaiting the outcome of investigation from the fire brigade and indeed the police. I've been in contact with the Prime Minister, MP for the area, Mr. Hannah, and of course Minister Dana Dixon. All the arms of the state to provide the necessary support are already mobilized.
The heartbreaking loss of these young lives is deeply distressing and serves as a painful reminder of the vulnerabilities children face in cases of emergency. The CPFSA first responders are already en route to the scene of the incident to assess the situation. They will provide on-spot grief counselling for the surviving family members, identify any other children who may now require care, and offer support such as food, clothing, and assistance in replacing essential documents. Our focus now is to ensure that these families have access to the resources they need to begin rebuilding their lives after this devastating loss.
And Prime Minister Andrew Holness has spoken out on the tragic fire. He's reminding parents of their responsibility and accountability to the well-being of their children.
It is absolutely heartbreaking to lose 3 innocent lives in such a preventable manner. Every Jamaican child deserves to grow up in a safe environment. And this incident brings into sharp focus the gaps in vigilance and responsible parenting we face as a nation. Now, while I understand the economic demands on parents, particularly single-parent households, there can be no excuse for leaving children unattended or with little or no supervision, particularly in cases which could not be considered an emergency. In light of this most recent tragedy, I strongly remind parents and guardians of their moral duty to their children and their legal responsibilities under the Child Care and Protection Act. As parents, we must do more to ensure our children are cared for and protected at all times.
To other news now, coming out of an eventful period for Kingston, the mayor says some traffic changes in downtown will remain until further notice. He's advising citizens to pay keen attention to the adjustments. Trisha Gay Kelly reports.
The Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation KSAMC is reminding citizens that traffic changes which were made for the Yuletide season are still in effect for sections of downtown Kingston. Mayor of Kingston Andrew Swaby recently revisited these areas to hear the citizens' views on the adjustments.
What we have done was to do an assessment of these changes. So we went underground along with the police and KSAMC personnel, and we were observing it. What we have observed, and not only what we have observed, but also what commuters, taximen, vendors, and business owners have said to us that they had welcomed these changes.
And he was right, as road users expressed that the changes have assisted with traffic flow, but there are still minor challenges.
Good enough, I better feel free, more road, more free. But you see, coming up on West Street now, them need to put only on one side, the traffic will park on one side. That West Street and block up car. West Street at the area of our thing, it's a barrier. And when we go on West Street, we jump. See? And West Street, we have to drive them. And so if they park on one side of the road, with areas of a little free
everybody
going up. So, I have a problem with the one way down here, because I really live in a better.
Notably, the mayor says his team will be in constant communication with the police and the National Works Agency to address these concerns in short order.
However, they have even outlined to us some minor things that we should consider, and we are going to consider those recommendations. We'll be having a necessary discussion as to the recommendations of the vendors, the taximen, the business persons, and we'll make an announcement sometime early in February.
Citizens are reminded that the changes are as follows.
Haywood Street, one-way traveling easterly to Orange Street. West Queen Street, one-way traveling westerly to West Street. Pigeon Street, traveling one-way southerly to Spanish Town Road to Darling Street. And Beckford Street, one-way traveling westerly.
The municipality continues to monitor these spaces until final recommendations are made. Trisha Gay Kelly, CVM News.
Now, there's renewed call to revisit male education in Jamaica. The Minister of Education, Skills, Youth and Information says program to address the issue will be a priority under her leadership. Again, Trisha Gay Kelly has more from the annual Archbishop Samuel Carter Lecture held recently at Campion College.
Newly appointed Minister of Education, Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, is lamenting the long-standing issue of male underperformance in education in Jamaica. Speaking at the annual Archbishop Samuel Carter Lecture at Campion College, Dixon articulated that it is a priority of the ministry under her leadership to fix the disparities in gender performance.
Jamaica must confront the subtle currents of gender disparities, and not so subtle, that shape pathways for girls and boys. While our schools often boast remarkable female participation and outcomes, there remains a dearth of women pursuing traditionally male-dominated fields, such as engineering or advanced sciences. But simultaneously, and we want to focus more on, our boys are struggling with reading and literacy, sometimes feeling disengaged from academic work that fails to reflect their interests and world experiences.
She went on to highlight that measurements of educational attainment in Jamaica have seen Jamaican boys lagging behind the performance of girls at all schooling levels.
The secondary level is an inflection point for our boys. In fact, when you look at the data, and I spent some time in preparing for this speech, looking at data from the ministry, and you can see the gap starts early. The gap is there from in primary school, and you see quite starkly in the results of PEP. You see that disparity, but it gets wider when you look at the CSEC results, and then it gets even wider when you look at who is at our university. 75% in one of our most prominent are women. So you see it getting worse as you go through the system.
Dr. Morris Dixon believes that local context and special circumstances faced by Jamaican boys have made Jamaica an anomaly in that our girls are significantly outperforming our boys.
They're often abusive upbringing and the cultural norms of masculinity from the compelling popular culture that too often disincentivizes education. And we've all heard it. You hear the songs, you hear the slang about it's not bad to be dunce. It's okay to be at the back of the class. Those things do not help us.
Academic studies from scholars such as Barry Evans and Professor Herbert Gale have long alluded to the absence of male teachers in schools, violence, and even the ways in which Jamaican boys are taught in schools as a reason behind underperformance. Currently at the secondary level, co-educational and all-girls institutions dominate the top 10 list in CSEC and CAPE rankings, with Woolmer's Boys being the only all-male institution being ranked in the top 10. Dr. Morris Dixon was the keynote speaker at the annual lecture being hosted by her alma mater. Trisha Gay Kelly, CVM News.
The Manchester Police on Sunday celebrated and offered prayers for the new year at an official Thanksgiving service in the parish. Now, despite the notable gains from 2024, the stakeholders agree more needs to be done to confront and reduce crime in the central space. With more, here is Nika Lewis.
When it comes to the crime demon, some have opined that the only solution is a divine one. But for local crime fighters, it will require a combination of efforts, physical and otherwise.
Through faith and actions, we know it's a tiring and challenging battle. But we will not relent, and we will instead continue to work towards our goal to reduce our numbers. As the premier law enforcement agency in this beautiful country, one of the many lessons learned from Ephesians 6 verse 12 is that it doesn't matter how robust and active our law enforcement initiatives and programs are. Without that spiritual connection with our Creator, we will be nothing but failures.
In what appeared a mini-sermon, the commander notes that his team remains unrelenting in their thrust to sever the crime monster's head, thereby reducing crime in the parish.
When we close out 2024, the division have seen an overall decrease of some 19% as it relates to our major crimes. So that is compared to the year 2023. We did see an uptick in our murders. And because of that, our strategy for this year going forward is our murder reduction strategies. And I'm sure that if you are out there anywhere on the road in Manchester, you will see our boots on the ground.
However, the crime fighters are not alone in their quest to maintain law and order. Manchester Central Member of Parliament Rhoda Moy Crawford says she's all in.
The members of the security forces have my full support, 250% in their crime fighting efforts in the parish. If we are to be serious about reducing our numbers in Manchester as people of the community, whether it doesn't matter which position of leadership you serve in, whether it's civil society, whether it's the church, whether it's the youth services, whether it's the political directorate, whether you are ordinary Jamaicans, business operators, we must realize that the efforts of the security forces requires all hands on deck.
Ms. Crawford reminds that the effects of crime can impact anyone, as she urges support for law enforcement. She also lauded the police for their high clear-up rate, while encouraging more families to get back to the basics.
When we were growing up as children, we had to go to church every Sunday. We had to be a part of Sunday school. When you look at what is happening across the island, that culture is slowly dying. Usually, whether our mothers are going or not, we had to dress up and go. I had to sing on the children's choir, go to Bible studies, go to youth fellowship. We're losing that culture, and we need to return to that culture because we have become so hardened and morally bankrupt. And there are certain things that it is only the church that can teach us. And so I'm appealing to the community. Send out your children to church even if you can't make it.
Nika Lewis, CVM News.
And there's still more to come here on CVM News at 7. Please stay with us.
Make your Monday brighter with Sunrise. The fun begins in the kitchen, where spilling all the tea in breakfast is served. Then we head to a special money masterclass. Carlton sits down with the Honourable Favour Williams. Court is in session. We'll let the learning continue in Law and Order JA. Then we'll kick back with a Jamaica Premier League match week preview. You've never seen a sunrise quite like this.
CVM TV and live Jamaica Premier League action on a Monday night. A match made in heaven. We call it Monday Match Night. Catch all the hard-pounding JPL Monday night action from now until the end of the season on CVM TV's Monday Match Night. Matchday Mondays at 7:45 p.m. with a rebroadcast Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Nothing else can quite match up. Monday Match Night, powered by Sunshine Snacks and ABC Electrical.
Welcome back. Parts of the world are grappling with an alarming increase in wildfires, from raging flames in Australia to devastating blazes in California. Here in Jamaica, the fire brigade is particularly focused on ensuring 2025 is a year marked by safety and resilience, after also facing numerous challenges throughout 2024. Trisha Gay Kelly has that story.
It's the Yuletide season and everyone is looking to do their Christmas shopping with their Christmas pay or bonuses, or at least that's the way it's supposed to be. But sadly, that's not always the case. These placard-bearing workers of the Manchester Municipal Corporation took to the streets of Mandeville to express...
We do apologize for the incorrect insert. Let's now go to the story where the Manchester Police on Sunday celebrated and offered prayers for the new year at an official Thanksgiving service in the parish. Despite the notable gains from 2024, the stakeholders agree more needs to be done to confront and reduce crime in the central space. Let's go to our regional and international news now.
We begin with news in the region. In Barbados, Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley says she has the greatest hopes for 2025 for her constituency and the country. Speaking at her joint annual children's party with St. Michael's Central Member of Parliament Arthur Holder, Prime Minister Motley stated that while the last 5 years have been difficult, the country has seen some growth and she wants it to continue. More from the CBC.
The last 5 years have been stressful for most people. From last year, we started to see the turning of the corner. As people would say, green shoots, but it's a little more than green shoots. The shoots becoming trees now. We want to recognize that in order for us to keep growing in a challenging world, it is going to first depend on us to look inward and to develop the values and the thing, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Apply a level of self-discipline. We're living in a country where chronic NCDs and diabetes taking down too many people. That's a daily battle. Change how you eat, change how you move, do some exercises. And at the end of the day, if you are disciplined, you're focused, you're consistent, and you're creative and think outside the box, and above all else, you care and love people, we can make it.
Prime Minister of Grenada Decon Mitchell arrived in Beijing on January 11 for an official visit to China, which will last until January 17. During his visit, he is scheduled to meet with President Xi Jinping, and Premier Li Qiang will host a welcoming ceremony. The visit will include talks and a signing ceremony of cooperation agreements. Additionally, the chairman of the National People's Congress is expected to meet with Mitchell. Mitchell will also travel to Zhejiang and Shanghai as part of the visit. This year marks the 20th anniversary of resumed diplomatic relations between China and Grenada. In international news, The LA Medical Examiner's Office has confirmed that at least 16 people have been killed and another 13 missing from the devastating Los Angeles fires. Here's the BBC.
Still, the fires grow, hungry and unrelenting, as firefighters remain locked in a battle against nature's fury. From the sky, it's an all-out assault to keep the largest of these deadly wildfires in the Pacific Palisades from spreading any further, bombarding the flaming hills with water and fire retardant. Meanwhile, on the ground, the National Guard is out in force. A nighttime curfew is in effect to clamp down on those profiting from the chaos.
A lot of crime, a lot of people trying to steal things, but if you protect yourself and your family, I mean, I have to be there to protect my wife, my son, my kids, my mom, and I cannot even go and see them. I've been in the street for 3 days. Luckily, my sister lived on the street, or else I'd end up in the street.
But this unprecedented crisis is also bringing out the best in humanity. At a local shelter in Pasadena, volunteers are caring for more than 450 animals, dropped off by evacuees, or found wandering amid the destruction. Others who escaped with only the clothes on their backs are desperately searching for the beloved pets they lost in the scramble to get out.
Survivors here have lost everything, entire homes reduced to rubble. And with days of winds now forecast, it's a race against time to stop these fires from spreading further.
That's it for regional and international news. I'm Angela Melville.
And to this CVM News update now, Opposition Leader Mark Golding today shared that a new PNP candidate will soon be announced for the Central Kingston constituency. On Saturday, the party, in a statement, declared that its candidate, Lawrence Rowe, had withdrawn as its Member of Parliament candidate. Now, the party's leadership is reported to have held meetings with Rowe and the constituency executive of Central Kingston to emphasize the interests of the constituency as paramount during this period of transition.
All of our candidates are in place. We just changed one, as you may have heard. Yeah, and so that is an exception. There was a candidate in place, for various reasons that wasn't a tenable situation. So we will be very soon announcing somebody, I believe. But other than that situation, all of the seats have candidates now, yeah.
The global problem of preterm birth accounts for a significant percentage of child deaths. It's a very sensitive but important topic. So as we reflect during this first month of the year, we recall one woman's journey to lift the weight of miscarriage. This is Inspire Jamaica.
Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place if you can.
I just love this tree. Even the branches tell a story. That when life pushes you down, you just grow back up. Hi, my name is Gian Williams and I'm from the beautiful Caribbean island nation of St. Kitts and Nevis. In 2020, I found out that after 4 years of trying to have a baby, for the first time, I was finally pregnant. I was 37 years old, and the first 2/3 of my pregnancy was a relatively smooth and enjoyable journey. That was until excruciating pain from degenerating uterine fibroids began. The pain eventually triggered contractions and sent me into labor. On the 23rd of November, 2020, at 26 weeks or 6.5 months pregnant, I delivered my son. I'm told that he took a few breaths, but sadly, his life ended shortly after. Losing my baby has been heart-wrenching and difficult. And to cope, I began to purge my emotions and thoughts in writing. That writing turned into the book we have today, Lifting the Weight of Miscarriage, Healing Insights on Pregnancy Loss for Sufferers and the People Around Us. The book chronicles the physical, emotional, and spiritual effects of losing a baby that I, and to some extent my baby's father, had to cope with in the first 6 months after our loss. My experience is not extraordinary. In fact, it is actually quite common, since statistics suggest that 1 in every 4 pregnancies do not go full term. The grief is so intense, but yet we don't talk about it. We don't know what to say when our friends or family members suffer such a loss. Some of our institutions may not realize that grieving parents require more compassion in such devastating times. And the ones who bear the emotional and physical pain of miscarriage may not even know where to turn to help them heal. It's my hope that my book helps to fill those gaps with real, honest, and practical information so that miscarriage and stillbirth sufferers and the people around us can navigate this experience a little bit better. The weight of miscarriage is heavy, and I want to help not only the people who suffer pregnancy loss lift that weight, but also our doctors